Hello, I'm Kyle,
And I'm Griffin.
and this is the Cedar Log.
In this episode of the Cedar Log, we will be covering the history of the Breyer Training Center, which was owned by the Philadelphia Council from 1944 to 1980. Much of our information comes from a 25th anniversary publication on the property and from Walter Walholick, Sr., who provided us with the 25th anniversary publication. Thank you as always, Walt.
The history before the Scouts owned the land goes back to the Lenape who lived there along the Tacony Creek. Later, George Washington and the Continental Army used land to monitor British troop movements and to use it for a gathering point in the march to Valley Forge.
In time, the estate was brought down by John Wanamaker in 1868 and named it Lidenhurst. The Wanamakers would own the estate until their luck ran dry during the Great Depression. Due to the Depression, the estate was sold to Henry W. Breyer Sr. The purchase included a mansion with 32 bedrooms and baths with elaborate furnishings. Of note, the mansion on the estate was never occupied.
The sale occurred on February 16, 1944, and the Scouts took ownership of the estate for $250,000. The Breyers had a prior history of donating to the council, and they sold the property to the council with all encumbrances removed. To ensure this, the Breyer family would grant gifts of cash and securities over years until the mortgage was paid off.
Shortly after the purchase, the mansion was demolished over concerns of it being the white elephant of the property after some vandalism occurred to it. A salvage of demolition company compensated the council well for the privilege to raise and dismantle the mansion. According to Walt, the removal of the mansion occurred from 1947 to 1949.
Of interest, a court ruled in favor of the council and pardoned the council from paying the full real estate taxes that were levied on the previous owners. The Breyers continued to give gifts to the council that amounted to $25,000, and thanks to these additional gifts, buildings and infrastructure was added to the property. This is also how the property gained such a wide collection of shrubs and trees from around the world.
Breyer was located at Township Line and Old York Road in Cheltenham Township in Montgomery County. It was only 11 miles from the council headquarters and only 1.5 miles from the northernmost part of Philly. Due to this, Scouts could take public transportation to get there and was heavily used on weekends for training, hikes, and even camporees. This level of accessibility to a wooded area in such a populous area was unmatched by any other property owned by the council.
Breyer was unique in that it was solely used for training. At Breyer, patrols learned how to function, and Breyer was unique in that it was solely used for training. At Breyer, patrols learned how to function, scoutcraft skills were taught, and adult leadership courses were conducted. This was done through a volunteer faculty that taught all sorts of scout skills that then enabled units to go on their own trips far outside of the city.
The first ranger of Breyer Training Area was Bill Mankett, who was the assistant scoutmaster of Troop 8. Unfortunately, he died a short time after, and his funeral was conducted at Breyer.
Breyer also had an extensive conservation program with the Baden-Powell Conservation Award, H.W. Breyer Award, and the Breyer 25th Anniversary Award.
Between 1953 to 1958, training programs were added and trails around the property were cleared. A Cub Scout area was also added. Later, proper storage facilities were added along with a trading post.
Around this time, the 100-strong Breyer volunteer staff was reorganized to be the Breyer faculty. The idea was to mix training with fun, and on Saturdays, the faculty would teach various scout skills. The model behind the training was to first train adult leaders who would then teach the youth senior leadership and then the scouts in the unit.
It was estimated that the property was visited 500,000 times by scouts in just the first 25 years. Breyer was even visited by several foreign scouts from countries such as Canada, Egypt, Belgium, Japan, Israel, Syria, Thailand, and many other countries.
Interestingly, units had to submit applications and receive permits to use Breyer to ensure it was solely used for training. Applications had to be submitted 2 weeks before staying overnight at Breyer, and day visitors did not need permits to attend skills demonstrations.
Training courses at Breyer included overnight leaders in training, junior leaders in training, district trainees, basic skills, a training plan for leaders, junior youth leaders, and scouts. There were also special weekends for things such as pioneering, and there were also many conservation projects. Special troop training was conducted in July by an invite-only base.
The Breyer training plan boiled down to 5 steps. 1. A unit commissioner saw need for assistance in teaching certain skills to a unit. 2. An appointment of Breyer was made with the training service at the council office. 3. Unit leaders and Breyer faculty would then spend a day or weekend learning the needed skills. 4. On a different weekend, the unit leaders and Breyer faculty would teach the senior youth leaders of the unit. 5. On a third weekend, troop members would be trained by the senior youth leaders.
Humorously, noise and respecting the neighbors seemed to have been an issue for Breyer. Scouts in the poor judgment of youth would be loud and even sneak out. Leaders and faculty had a constant battle to corral the scouts. It seems that this has never changed.
In time, the property was sold by the council and was turned into condos and office buildings.
The Cedar Log is a production of the Unami Lodge History Committee, hosted by Kyle and Griffen, video by Luke and Reese, audio editing by Luke, and script by Phil Hittner and Reese.